Welcome to this week's edition of The Road to Indy, presented by Southern Seminary and Boyce College. This week, I'm excited to have Ryan Strother and Chris Kellermeyer joining me on the show. Ryan is the State Executive Director in Indiana, and Chris is the Associational Missions Strategist for the Crossroads Baptist Association, which encompasses the Indianapolis area. Thanks for joining me, guys. So Ryan, let's talk ministry in Indiana. Give the viewers a quick overview of the state and the ministry that you guys have going on there.
Indiana is a convention of about 420 churches. When you think about the Midwest, a lot of Midwest states, a lot of similarities, but Indiana is sandwiched between two much larger states, Ohio and Illinois. Our population, about 6.8 million people in Indiana, and compare that to Ohio, that's closer to 12 million, 11.8, Illinois, which is over 12 million. So you got a pocket of about 6.8 million people that our churches are trying to reach. But also within that, you've got such a diversity of north to south, of urban, of suburban, of very rural areas as well. You've got your farmland. So we've got every type of a cultural setting, demographic setting. We've got major influences from large cities, and then we've got towns with 500 people that we've got churches in. So it's very diverse in that way. We've been all about connecting for kingdom advancement. We're trying to develop connection between our churches, between the 14 partnering associations that we work with throughout the state. We're trying to connect well so that our churches are serving one another, that we're strengthening each other in this work that we do together.
Yeah, now you mentioned those 14 associations across the state. One of those is the association that Chris leads right there in Indianapolis, the Crossroads Association. Now, Chris, what excites you about the ministry in and around Indianapolis?
Well, I can't begin to tell you how excited I am about having the convention come, and the excitement is building. I was just in a pastor breakfast this morning talking about crossover, and our guys it's getting electric around here because one of the things, Jonathan, is that a lot of people don't know, and when they think about Indianapolis, it's one of those places that is either drive through or flyover territory. So most people don't think about this as a destination, but people coming here for a destination, especially from our convention, are going to see and understand really the need of our city and really the lostness. When I've taken groups on tours around the city, one of the things that they always ask me is, Chris, well, where are all the churches? And it's like, well, they're here. It just takes a minute to find them. But man, our pastors are doing an excellent job trying to push back the lostness here in Indy. And so that's one of the things that we're real excited about, that they're going to have partners coming in from all over the convention to be here and to see some of that. Actually, population is 2 million. Ryan was just talking about, we've got 2 million people here. And we know that stats tell us that on any given Sunday, 80 to 90% of the people here do not attend church on a regular basis.
Wow.
So, man, there's great opportunity for people to come and to be a part of a great effort.
Yeah, well, we'll talk a little bit more as we get closer to Indianapolis along the road to Indy about the city. And I'm really looking forward to some of those episodes and how people can really get involved, especially ministering to the city through crossover. We'll be talking about that down the line here on the show. But Ryan, back to you. Ministry and life in Indiana. How is that different than most of the other contexts in the SBC? You kind of talked about the difference in Indiana versus Illinois and Ohio, but
right.
What about the rest of the SBC? How's it different than those?
Just go across our southern border. So you cross that river there, you're in Kentucky, and it's a different world as far as Southern Baptist life. I remember being in a meeting a couple of years ago with a pastor in Kentucky who asked me how many churches we had in our state convention. When I said around 420, he just gave me that dumbfounded look, and I knew exactly why. And I stopped him right there. I just said, brother, you need to know something, that when you cross that river, it's a different world in Southern Baptist life. And he looked at me and he says, I just figured you had 2,400 churches like we do in Kentucky. We don't. And in the Midwest, what's interesting, and I think a lot of our pastors see this, we don't have denominational loyalists in the Midwest, at least in the Indiana. We don't have people joining churches because they're Southern Baptist churches. We don't see that. We have to work very hard at educating our pastors even of what the cooperative program is, who's Lottie Moon, and what's this missions offering do, and who's Annie Armstrong, and what is that offering support. And we've got to educate and work hard at that, to where maybe some states would say, well, this is just a given, we all understand this. That's not true necessarily here. So you have people that are joining churches because they are preaching the word and they know somebody there, somebody invited them, and that's where they're getting plugged in. Then they're finding out they're connected to this much larger family that's doing incredible work all around the world, and that's what's exciting. So I think you'll find, people that are coming in for crossover events or whatever that it may be that they're joining in, they're not going to come in here and wave an SBC flag and everybody flock to them because it's Southern Baptist. They're going to flock to it because you're coming in, you're serving people, and you're pointing them to Jesus. And that's really what's attractive here. So we have to take an approach that is gospel-centric, like any of us do, but one that we have to work even harder maybe than other parts of the country to educate our leaders, even our pastors, of who we are, what we do as a convention, state convention, as a network all around the world. So you do have some challenges there. I think one of the other things you have to consider here is just the size. Again, we're 420 some churches, and if I'm thinking straight, last year you had more churches than that just in the local association of where the SBC annual meeting was in the New Orleans area. Listen, Chris Kellermeyer does not lead an association of 500 churches. We've got fewer than that in the entire state. So, to host a meeting like this, Indy's a great spot. I mean, it's built for this kind of hosting. It's a great city for this kind of thing. It really takes a lot of effort from our churches to come together. I mean, the number of volunteers to pull this off, all the things that we have to do and help with it. We're pulling together from all of our churches, but I think we're going to see some help come from our brothers and sisters on neighboring states, and I'm certainly hoping for that. It just takes it's a different cultural setting in the sense of you're not going to find a massive conglomeration of SBC churches in the area where the annual meeting is. We're spread out, we're smaller in number. And yet we show up, and I think we're already seeing that. The number of crossover events or activities that are scheduled already has been tremendous. The amount of involvement, like Chris was saying, the excitement to participate, to get involved with that, has really been an encouragement to me.
Now, you mentioned that excitement. I know the people in Indiana are excited, and I've been with y'all. I'll be up there, routinely over the next couple of months as we get there toward the June meeting. But what about the messengers, Chris? Like, why should they be excited? I know you guys are excited. I've seen it. I've felt it. Why should messengers be excited about spending a week in Indianapolis?
Well, it's an amazing thing when I've been talking to our pastors about the messengers that are coming, is that they're going to come and be a part of efforts here that when the messengers arrive, one of the great things about Indy is that everything is so centrally located. So you're going to not only be able to walk very comfortably and easy and to the convention, but to be a part of kind of the heartbeat of the city. So that's an exciting thing just on that side. But from the evangelistic efforts, people as they come and think about being a part, is that these guys, it's kind of like the Macedonian call, is like, come over and help us. I mean, it's really going to be one of those things where they're not going to understand how important just like what Ryan was saying, is that most of our folks have no SBC connection, no historical connection. And so when I was church planting 20 years ago, when I would talk about Lottie Moon and Annie Armstrong, and when I would, talk to them about that I was a NAM missionary, people didn't understand. So when they come, they're going to be such a blessing to that congregation and to that pastor. And when they're able to say, you know, we had people come from Missouri and Mississippi and California that came to be a part of what we were doing, the people here in Indiana are going to have a greater understanding of the bigger family that we're a part of and the impact that we can make. So, man, messengers, be praying right now, and, you know, be thinking about, man, that you're really going to make an impact. This is missionary work in some of its purest form.
Yeah, and I totally agree, and I'm excited to hear more about how churches and messengers that are coming to the annual meeting can be involved in that, and we're going to do that throughout the series here on the Road to Indy. One of the things that we have been known to do, and I say we, I mean me, on these Road to series is talk a little bit about the food in and around the city. So it's you know, it's something that it's kind of a running theme, especially last year when we were in New Orleans. Indianapolis, you know, other than the pork tenderloin sandwich, which is fantastic, by the way, it's not really known for food. So help us out a little bit. I know we got a whole episode coming up next week. Scooter Kellum's going to jump on, talk about that and other things to do in the city. But give us a couple of maybe, you know, places that people don't want to miss and that they need to know about that they might miss if they don't know about them. So give me one, Chris, and Ryan, you give me one too.
Well, now, you know, the pork tenderloin sandwich is, if you want to have the quintessential Hoosier experience, that's it. I would recommend, there's a place off of 96th Street called CR Heroes Family Pub, rated as one of the best in the city. But here's the other thing too, is that as much as we're Midwest, and that pork tenderloin means a lot, we're also a very diverse place. So I would also say that we have some of the best Ethiopian food, and there are dotted all around Indy. So all you gotta do is look some of that up. And, you know, and I would also say that even from like even a vegan, if you know, we've got that represented as well. So yeah, all you got to do is look up Yelp, and every nation is represented here, especially on the west side of town. There's some really good stuff. So yeah, come and be ready to get your taste buds enlightened.
Yes. All right, Ryan.
I'll be very simple. Long's Donuts.
Hey, there you go.
Oh, there we go.
Get there early, because once they're out, they're out. The line will be out the door, but get there early. Go get you a Long's Donut.
Okay, that's a new one for me. I'm going to have to check that out. That's neat. All right. Well, cool, guys. Well, hey, thanks for joining us today. We really appreciate your time. Really appreciate your service in Indiana and Indianapolis. And I'm just really excited, again, to be joining with you to help put on this annual meeting and pastors conference in June. So thanks for joining us again today on the Road to Indy. For those of you watching, your road to Indy and your road back home should include a quick side trip to Southern Seminary and Boyce College. Their beautiful campus is located just minutes off Interstate 65 right there in Louisville. Southern and Boyce College will make this a rest stop like none you've experienced before. Go to sbts.edu/roadtrip to see what Southern has planned for SBC 24 road trippers just like you. Again, don't forget that messenger pre-registration and childcare registration are now open at sbcannualmeeting.net. Be sure to register, and we will see you next week on the Road to Indy, presented by Southern Seminary and Boyce College, as we talk about the church planting opportunities in Indiana.